Before I introduce Diane, however, we have a few housekeeping things that need to be tended to. First and foremost, some thanks go to the Peace Studies program by David Mason. Our other co-sponsor is the Office of Sustainability. Dr. Spinks couldn't be here, but he's well represented by several people from sustainability. So please thank him first. One other thank you has to go to the coordinator of our program, Pauline Rappiston. Unless you've done this, you have no idea how much work it is. And she pulled it off flawlessly. She's going to go home and collapse as soon as it's done, probably. I also want to thank the graduate students in Women's Studies who came out in force. You're why we do what we do. Thank you. Please turn off your cell phones so that we don't have any interruptions. And I want to tell you, you probably noticed that there's a little bit going on out here in the hall, that there will be a book signing by Diane afterwards. Her latest book, hot off the press, was just drop-shipped here 2 days ago. So you have a lot to look forward to. Now to our speaker. Diane Wilson first came to my attention several years ago when I read a newspaper column written by the late Molly Ivins. For those of you who did not get the privilege of meeting Molly Ivins, or remembering her, she was a writer who minced very few words in commenting on Texas politics and politicians. We could probably even say that she did not suffer fools gladly, but neither did she dish out praise unless it was well earned. Her article on Diane began, "I'm writing about the most extraordinary book by the most extraordinary woman, and I would have interviewed her at length, except she's going to be arrested if she ever sets foot back in our home state." And the article got better from that point on, you can imagine. Diane's calling began in Calhoun County, where she took on the chemical plants that were polluting the Gulf. She was a shrimper, a fifth-generation shrimper, a mother of 5. She had a vested interest in why this toxic environment was being created and why it was being ignored by the people who should have been paying attention. Addressing this environmental concern would have been enough activism for any normal person. Not for Diane Wilson. She went on to be a co-founder of the Code Pink movement, an organization of women opposed to war, and she's since become involved in global social justice issues as well. Well, I could go on probably for the rest of our evening here tonight talking about Diane Wilson, but I'd like to end my introduction by returning to Molly Ivins, who claimed, "Diane Wilson has discovered a weapon I believe is the greatest strength of many women. Pure, cussed stubbornness. She is an unreasonable woman. God bless her. Unreasonable women may yet save the world." Please give a big UNT welcome to an unreasonable, remarkable woman, Diane.
Well, hello all of y'all. I'm 7 hours down on the coast from y'all, and I know up here in Dallas there's probably a few of y'all that have no idea what shrimpers are. And like I said, I'm a 5th generation. I've been doing it since I was 8 years old. I've been a boat captain for most of my life. But I've spoke all over the country. I've been countries I never believed I would be in. But I know a lot of people, they always had problems with shrimpers and what they were. And so I remember one time I was doing a hunger strike against DuPont, and I was in Delaware. And when you do hunger strikes, this one thing I learned is you get as close up to the corporation as you can. So I was actually sitting across the street from the Delaware headquarters of DuPont, and I was on a hunger strike, and I'd been on it for about 10 days, and I was absolutely getting no kind of press, until finally, here come the reporters, and they did a story, and it said, "Shrimper on a hunger strike." And that evening, I got a carload of guys, and they said, "Now, where's that stripper on the hunger strike?" I have no idea what a stripper is. But be up here in Dallas, and I was here many, many years ago when my sister went to, Texas Women's University, yes, and I think Denton was about the size of my county at that time, because I'm from a fishing village called Seadrift on the Texas Gulf Coast. Probably the only thing this area and my area have in common is we both had Bonnie and Clyde who used to hide out there. I know, I think even Bonnie must have been buried in Dallas, and she used to hide out in Seadrift because we were so far back. So it's a very rural place. It's still probably the last authentic fishing village on the whole Texas Gulf Coast. And it was just fishermen. But the thing of it is you would think something that rural, that much dependent upon the bays for the fishing and the shrimping and the crabbing is when I was 40 years old. And this is when I started. I'm not a natural troublemaker or a hellraiser. I am not a natural speaker. I was literally forced into it because of what I believed in. And matter of fact, when I was little, I used to hide out underneath the bed anytime people would come into our house. So I reluctantly talked. My son who's autistic and myself, I didn't start talking until I was 4, and I took speech all the way up until junior high. So it's not a natural thing, trust me. I kind of channeled somebody up here. I don't know who I'm channeling. But anyway, when I was 40 years old, shrimping was starting to be so bad that I had tied up my shrimp boat, and I was working in a fish house. I was running a fish house, and the shrimpers, you know, they bring in shrimp and you unload them, and then you have Louisiana truck drivers, and you throw about 100 boxes of shrimp in these trucks, and they're heading for Louisiana. But I had this shrimper come in, and he had 3 different types of cancer, and he had lumps like tennis balls up and down his arm. And he threw this newspaper article at me, and it was an Associated Press story, and it was the first time the toxic release inventory was ever made public. Do people in here know what the toxic release inventory is? Mm-hmm. It's when the federal government passed a law saying that you, as a citizen, it was a community right to know. You, as a citizen, have a right to know what the chemical plant or the nuclear plant or the agriculture waste or whatever, you have a right to know what is coming out the smokestacks, what's being trucked through your town, what's going in your water, what's being dumped on the land. That was the first time, and this was 1989, it was the first time it was made public, and it was in a newspaper, in a local newspaper in Victoria, Texas, and like I said, my county is a tiny little county. We had like 15,000 people in the entire county, and that newspaper article said we were #1 in the nation for toxic disposal. That tiny county, #1, we had half the waste that was generated in Texas right there in my small county. And not only were we #1 in the nation, and since the United States is an industrialized world, we were probably ranking worldwide. And not only were we #1 in toxics to the land, injection wells, that's where you dump the waste into these very deep wells, and then you get your scientists to say nothing will get out of these wells for the next 2,000 years, because we got scientists who will prove it. And not only the injection wells, but also the air emissions. We were like 3rd in air emissions. So, you know, so I'm a shrimper. I'm a poor shrimper. I'm so poor, like I said, I'm running a fish house. I got 5 kids, no money, and you read something like that,